Just your impressions of them getting Davante Adams. And then my second question is, for me, the bigger deal, I know Davante is going to be great for that offense, but getting Poona Ford, a run-stuffing defensive tackle, and taking him away from the Chargers, I think that's a bigger acquisition, I think, as you start off free agency if you're the Rams.
Yeah, getting Poona's huge. I mean, we watched them against the Eagles. I mean, they really had trouble stopping the run, and that's Poona's specialty is kind of clogging up the middle. Poona to me reminds me a lot of Brandon Mebane and how he played nose tackle and his ability to force runs the other way and just be stout and be consistent up there because of his size. And that's something that the Rams were obviously lacking in the middle of their defense. So. I know a couple people on social media were questioning how much money he got. I mean, $17 million, if it's over a 2-year deal, I mean, to me, that's not a lot for a defensive tackle. And this defensive tackle free agent class, a lot of guys are getting paid. So I thought it was a smart move by the Rams to pick him up. I can't remember if Giff was with the Chargers when Poona was there.
No,
okay.
Giff has been on the Rams. Giff was on the Rams last year.
So Poona, that was his first year with the Chargers last year.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. But I mean, obviously he's familiar with Poona. Poona played, with the Seahawks for a while and has been in the league for a minute. So I do think that was an important get for them. In terms of Davante, makes a lot of sense. I thought the contract, $26 million guaranteed. It's a lot of change, man. So I'm interested to see what the production's going to be from him.
It was only me, yeah.
No, I did think it was a little bit on the high side, but when you look at what he did last year, 85 catches, over 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, he produced like he normally does. 32 years old, so you're worried about the wear a little bit. But I think when you watch Davante play, I feel like he has more juice than Cooper. Like he does more stuff after the catch at this point in his career. We know he's a great route runner. I think he'll be a good fit in terms of, culture. I don't think he's going to be a guy that goes in there and complains. I think he's a professional that takes his craft very serious and is going to give you the kind of effort that you need. I do think the comparison, when you look at what Odell did their Super Bowl season and bringing a guy that is an ultra competitive guy, I think it'll be kind of a rebirth for Davante, and I think he'll play well.
We actually have a question here this is a good question from Joaquin Quijada when it comes to the Rams. Will linebacker and DB depth be priority in this draft for the Rams?
I think so. I think they do a pretty good job of not only scouting, what they need at those specific positions defensively, but then developing those guys. I think Omar Sprite is a good example of that. You look at the 2 safeties that came on for them in the secondary and how they played better in the second half of the season. And then I think those are 2 positions that they don't necessarily like to pay a lot of money because they do a great job of finding those guys through the draft. It's one of the reasons they moved on from Ernest Jones. And now he's, signed a decent deal with the Seahawks. So yeah, I do think those are going to be priorities in terms of, day 2, day 3 picks that come in and either are depth players and special teamers that can play.
Eric, are you a huge Disney Channel person or no?
I used to be, but my kids are older now.
Do you know who Brenda Song is from Sweet Life of Zach and Cody and all that?
I actually do know who that is.
Boom. All right. So she was asked in an interview if she was the Rams defensive coordinator, how she would have stopped Saquon Barkley. Watch this.
If you're the Rams defensive coordinator, what would you have done to prevent Saquon Barkley from running for 200 yards in consecutive games?
Well, let me tell you, Chris Shula. I like you a lot. I like what you've done with our front 4. But my issue is we don't have a run stopper. And we don't use our middle linebackers in the middle. We can't stop the run. That's our biggest problem besides our O-line. We cannot stop the run. Let's talk about Mike LaFleur and our OC, about our O-line and why Jalen Carter sacked Matthew Stafford, why the Philadelphia score should have been 28-29 and Rams should have been we would have merged Commanders. Sorry. Love you, David Daniels, but we've been the Super Bowl. Okay, continue. Sorry.
Go Birds. What's your greatest regret in life?
Look at that.
She came in hot.
Get her to ESPN. She knows more than some of the people over there, dude.
She probably
Some
likes
of
the
those-
Poona Ford signing, then, huh?
Some of those talking heads over there at ESPN. My
What are
God.
you talking about, Dan?
Oh,
No.
Gilberto's hero. Gilberto's hero. I'll name drop. I don't care. I'll talk about it. I'll talk about it. It's no big deal to me. They're
That
nothing
was
to
pretty
me.
good, hi, Eric.
But oh yeah, I enjoyed that.
She should have a Poona Ford jersey moving forward if that's what
She was very detailed in her analysis.
I
There
know.
you go.
Vic, sorry, you had some other stuff.
No, I was gonna say that was a great pull because I reposted it and I was like, wow, I knew she was a big Laker fan and she knows her basketball, but that was pretty surprising of her. I was pretty shocked and yeah, I'm like, maybe she should do our job because she's really good at just in that little clip for about a minute. But my
London,
last question
Tipton, and Dan and Dago take the NFL.
Oh my God. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
I'd ask her all the time about the Prindle.
Go ahead, Vic. Sorry.
Just in terms of the Rams, what else do you expect them? I talked about it on House of Horns in terms of, you talked about cornerback being one of those positions that they usually go and draft, but should they go and get a veteran guy, you think? And then I should they start trying to sign some of these young guys like Puka and Kobe Turner, get ahead of it? Like, I know a lot of people are talking about, copying the Eagles model, which is great of, building through their trenches, but which is what every NFL team should do. But the trend I like from the Eagles is once they get into that second and third year of the drafting a guy, they go and they pay them ahead of time. So that way you're not stuck like the Cowboys or the Bengals having to overpay for your own guys. So I just wanted to get your thoughts about that, Eric.
No, I agree. I think why wouldn't you want to follow the Eagles blueprint because it's been successful. So if you can get ahead on some of these contracts, whether it's, Puka, obviously Jared Verse is only going to his second year. Kobe's going to his third year. So maybe Kobe is a guy that you look at throwing some money out, early to get ahead of the curve there. I think it makes some sense. In terms of needs, they signed Alaric Jackson, brought him back. I think that makes some sense. And now I think they need to address the interior of the offensive line. They let Jonah Jackson go. It sounds like maybe Coleman Shelton is a possibility of returning, who could play center or guard. So it gives them some versatility, some flexibility. I think they do need to continue to address the interior of the offensive line with Matthew Stafford because you want to keep him upright. So you got to protect him. I think they could also use a pass catching tight end. I think when you look at this year's draft, I think tight end is one of the stronger position groups. I don't think they're going to be in a position to get the guy from Penn State, Warren, but maybe Taylor from I think Notre Dame might make some sense later in the first round as a playmaking tight end. Give Stafford another piece out there that can go out there and make plays. So I think tight end, interior offensive line, cornerback would make some sense. Linebacker, you're always going to want to have guys rotating in because they don't necessarily sign those guys to longer deals, and then continue to replenish the defensive line. I mean that was a strength for the Eagles. The Eagles lost a couple guys in free agency, but they have guys behind them that could come in and continue to fill the void. So I think that would make some sense as well.